All right, let's talk about the world of finance, where AI models are making huge decisions every single second. But what happens when you actually have to explain one of those decisions? That's exactly what we're diving into today.
So picture this. Your super smart AI model flags a transaction, or maybe it denies a loan, and then your boss, or even worse, an auditor, comes over and asks that one simple question: why? And if your only answer is, well, the black box said so, you've got a serious problem on your hands.
Okay, so to crack open this black box problem, we need to think kind of like a photographer. We need two lenses, a wide-angle lens and a zoom lens. First up, let's go with that wide-angle view, right? The 30,000-foot perspective that execs and portfolio managers need to see the whole board, to see what's happening across the entire business.
And for that big picture view, there's a fantastic tool called SHAP. It's great for answering that question: what are the major drivers across the whole company? But what happens when you need to understand one specific thing? One customer, one transaction? Well, that's where our star for today, Lime, comes into play. Think of it as the magnifying glass you use to look at that single, specific case.
So let's grab that magnifying glass and zoom right in. It's time to figure out what Lime is all about.
Okay, so LIME stands for Local Interpretable Model-Agnostic Explanations. Yeah, it's a mouthful, I know, but the idea behind it is just brilliant. The key word here is local. That means it focuses on explaining one single prediction at a time. And the way it does this is by creating a temporary, simple little model right around that specific data point. It's like we get to peek inside the complex model's brain, but just for that one moment, for that one instance.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, it isolates the one prediction you care about. Second, it starts generating tiny variations of that data point, its neighbors, so to speak. And then third, it fits a really simple model just to that small local cluster. And boom, that new simple model tells you exactly what features push the original prediction one way or the other.
And this brings us to what I think is Lime's superpower. It's model agnostic. And what that means is it just doesn't care what model you're using. You could have an XGBoost, a neural network, some proprietary black box you bought. It doesn't matter. Lime just looks at the inputs and the outputs and gives you an explanation. It's like a universal adapter for model explainability. Okay, theory is great and all, but what does this actually look like in a real finance department? Let's take a look at how Lime gets used every day, from the C-suite all the way to the auditor.
Oh man, we've all been there, right? The numbers are down, and the CFO wants answers. And they don't just want the big trend, they want to know about the specific customers that drove that change. This is exactly the kind of question that sends teams into a frantic scramble, and it's precisely the problem Lime was built to solve.
You see, Lime brings that case-level transparency to all these key finance functions. For audit and control, it's answering, hey, why was this journal entry flagged? For the risk and credit teams, it explains, why did this loan get scored as high risk? And for operations, it's revealing, why do we think this specific customer is about to churn? It gives you the why for each individual case. Let's get even more specific. Your customer retention model spits out at number 78%. It's telling you customer X has a 78% chance of churning. Now that's a pretty solid prediction, but as a business, what do you do with that? 78% isn't actionable on its own. The real question, the one that matters, is why. And this is Lime's answer. Suddenly, that 78% isn't just a number, it's a story. You can see right here, the biggest driver was a recent price increase. Boom, that added 29% to their risk. They've also been paying late. Now your retention team doesn't just have a number, they have a playbook. They can literally pick up the phone, call this customer, talk about that price hike, maybe offer a new deal. That is real, actionable intelligence right there.
Okay, now that we've seen how powerful zooming in can be, let's zoom back out. Because Lime isn't a silver bullet, right? It's a super critical part of a complete toolkit, and it works hand in hand with its partner, SHAP. And it's really important to remember that Lime's explanations are local. They're a fantastic approximation. They're totally faithful to what the model is doing in that tiny little area, but they might not reflect the model's overall logic. And that's exactly why you need both tools.
So yeah, it's not about choosing SHAP or Lime. It's about figuring out how to use SHAP and Lime together. They solve different pieces of the puzzle, and any modern finance team really needs both.
So think of it like this. If you're looking at your whole portfolio, trying to find the big drivers, or you're diagnosing a forecast, you're going to start with SHAP. But the moment an auditor points to one specific loan file, or you need to understand that one weird outlier customer, you switch gears and pull out Lime for that super granular case-level drill down.
So a really powerful modern finance workflow will look something like this. Step 1, you build your model. Step 2, you use SHAP to understand and explain the big picture drivers to leadership. Then, step 3, you use Lime to go investigate the individual cases, the outliers that actually make up that big picture. And finally, you wrap it all up in a nice dashboard or report. You can see how this just mirrors the way finance teams already think. Big picture first, then drill down into the details.
Okay, let's bring this all home. This stuff isn't just about cool tech or fancy algorithms. For anyone working in finance, accounting, or risk, this gets at something much, much more fundamental: accountability and governance. Lime directly supports your professional responsibilities. How? By giving you the clear, transparent, easy-to-understand explanations that regulators and auditors demand. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with SOX, IFRS 9, or just internal controls, being able to explain your models on a case-by-case basis isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's an absolute necessity.
So if you only take one thing away from our chat today, let it be this. Lime is the bridge that connects these super complex machine learning models to real-world accountability. It's what translates the what of a prediction into the why that everyone, from an analyst to a CEO, can understand and act on.
And so I'll leave you with this final thought. Your AI systems are making thousands, maybe millions of decisions every single day. The need to stand behind and defend every single one of those decisions is only going to get more intense. So the question is, are you ready for that future? Thanks for joining me.